What if I told you the biggest difference between the truly wealthy and everyone else isn't about money at all? It's about mindset. See, most people's wealth is about working harder, earning more, or finding the perfect opportunity. But the reality is, the people who build lasting wealth don't just think differently. They live by a completely different set of beliefs. They see the world, money, and opportunities in a way that most people don't. The average person says, I can't afford this. The wealthy ask, how can I afford this? One closes the door, the other opens it. The average person chases money to survive. The wealthy build systems so money chases them. The shift is subtle, but it changes everything. And here's the thing, you don't need millions in the bank to start thinking like the wealthy. In fact, you'll never have millions until you make the shift first. Wealth is created twice, once in your mind and then in your bank account. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the biggest mindset shift from truly wealthy people, the exact perspective that allows them to create opportunities, build freedom, and grow wealth while everyone else is stuck trading time for money. By the end, you'll realize that the gap between you and the wealthy isn't as wide as you think. It's just one shift in how you see the game. Wealth doesn't start with numbers, it starts with beliefs. Before money ever shows up in your bank account, it has already been created in your mind through where you think about opportunities, decisions, and habits. If your mindset is limited, your results will be limited no matter how much you earn. But if your mindset is abundant, disciplined, and growth-oriented, money will naturally flow into your life because our actions align with wealth creation. Think about it. Two people can earn the same salary, yet one stays broke while the other builds financial freedom. The difference isn't the pay, it's the mindset. One spends without purpose, believing money is only for today, while the other saves, invests, and thinks of money as a tool for tomorrow. This is why wealth is never just about income. It's about how you see and use what you already have. Truly wealthy people understand that money follows vision. They believe in creating value, solving problems, and building systems that outlive their own efforts. They don't see money as an end goal, but as a resource that can multiply when used wisely. That belief shapes every decision, from what they buy to what they invest in to how they spend their time. If your mind says, I can't, then every opportunity looks impossible. But if your mind says, how can I, then every problem becomes a challenge solved. This mental shift opens doors that others can't even see. Wealth is a mindset of possibility, responsibility, and intentionality long before it's a number on a screen. The truly wealthy know that the bank account is just a reflection of the thoughts, beliefs, and actions that started in the mind first. Most people are taught to focus on income. They think the answer to every financial problem is to earn more salary, more overtime, more side hustles. But the wealthy see money differently. They know income can give you comfort today, but assets give you freedom for life. Income is temporary, it stops the moment you stop working. Assets, on the other hand, continue to generate value even when you're not actively involved. That's why the wealthy prioritize building assets over chasing higher paychecks. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. Investments, businesses, real estate, stocks, intellectual property. Assets don't just provide cash flow, they grow in value over time. Income buys you things, but assets buy you time, and that's the biggest difference. The wealthy aren't interested in working harder forever. They want their money to work harder than they do. They understand that true wealth comes when your lifestyle is supported by what you own, not by how many hours you can trade. The average person might get excited by a raise or a promotion, but the wealthy get excited by acquiring an asset that pays them forever. One is a short-term boost. The other is a long-term foundation. This doesn't mean income isn't important. It's the starting point. But if all you ever do is rely on income, you'll always be tied to work. If you direct that income toward building assets, you create leverage, and leverage is where wealth multiplies. The wealthy don't ask, how much do I earn? They ask, what can I own that earns for me? That single shift in focus is what separates those who just make a living from those who create lasting wealth. Scarcity is a mindset that traps people in limitations. It whispers that there's never enough money, never enough opportunity, never enough time. People stuck in scarcity thinking approach life with fear. They hold tightly to what little they have, afraid to lose it, and as a result, they rarely grow beyond their current situation. Scarcity says, I can't afford it. Or, that's not for people like me, shutting doors before they even try to open them. Wealth, on the other hand, is a mindset that sees possibilities everywhere. It doesn't ignore challenges, but it asks a different question. How can I make this work? This shift transforms obstacles into opportunities. Instead of saying there isn't enough, wealth-minded people look ways to create more. They see money as abundant, opportunities as endless, and skills as something that can always be developed. This belief pushes them to try to innovate and to take risks others won't. The difference between scarcity and wealth is not the size of your bank account, but the way you think. Two people can face the same problem. One gives up because they only see limitations. The other thrives because they see possibilities. Wealthy people aren't wealthy because they never faced scarcity. They're wealthy because they train themselves to think beyond it. They use creativity, persistence, and resourcefulness to find solutions where others only see dead ends. Scarcity keeps you in survival mode, focusing on lack. Wealth keeps you on mode, focusing on creation. When you choose to think in possibilities instead of limits, you stop asking, why me? And start asking, why not me? That single mindset shift allows you to see paths others miss and build opportunities others believe don't exist. Most people spend their money on things, new clothes, gadgets, cars, or experiences that provide quick satisfaction. There's nothing wrong with enjoying what money can buy, but when that's the only goal, the cycle never ends. You work harder, you earn more, you spend more, and then you're back where you started. The wealthy approach money differently. They use it to buy time, because time is the one resource you can never earn back. Buying time means freeing yourself from the constant trade of hours for dollars. The wealthy invest in systems, businesses, and assets that continue to generate income without their daily effort. They hire help, delegate tasks, and build teams, not because they're lazy, but because they understand their time is better spent on vision, strategy, and growth rather than being consumed by tasks that don't move the needle. Money buys them freedom to choose how to spend their days, and that freedom is priceless. The average person measures wealth by possessions: the car they drive, the house they own, or the brands they wear. The wealthy measure it by over their schedule. Do they have to work, or do they choose to work? Can they take time off without worrying about bills? Can they spend more moments with family, pursue passions, or focus on health? That's what money is meant to provide. When you spend only to acquire things, you get temporary joy. When you spend to buy time, you get lasting freedom. The wealthy know that the real luxury is waking up without being controlled by money or a job, but instead using money as a tool to reclaim their most valuable asset, time. Most people are taught from a young age that the path to financial security is to work hard, get a stable job, and trade their time for money. They clock in, put in the hours, and receive a paycheck at the end of the week. It feels safe, but the problem is that time is limited. No matter how hard you work, there are only 24 hours in a day, and eventually you reach a ceiling where you cannot earn more because you cannot give more time. This creates a cycle where your income is tied directly to your effort, leaving little room for growth or freedom. The wealthy think differently. Instead of only trading their time, they find ways to make money work for them. They put money into assets, investments, businesses, real estate, intellectual property that generate income around the clock. This is the power of leverage. While the average person's money sits idle in a savings account or gets spent on liabilities, the wealthy put every dollar to work, ensuring that their wealth grows even when they're not actively working. This doesn't mean the wealthy don't work hard. They often do, especially in the beginning. But their effort is directed toward building systems that break the direct link between time and income. They understand that financial freedom comes when your lifestyle is supported by passive or semi-passive income, not endless labor. The difference lies in mindset. Average people ask, how much can I earn per hour? The wealthy ask, how can I make this dollar earn for me? That shift changes everything. By making money an employee instead of a master, the wealthy unlock growth, freedom, and opportunities that trading time alone could never provide. Fear is one of the biggest barriers that hold people back from creating wealth. For most, fear is a stop sign. Fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of making the wrong decision keeps them stuck in the same place, doing what feels safe but never allowing them to grow. They avoid investments because they might lose. They avoid starting something new because they might fail. They avoid asking questions because they don't want to look foolish. In the end, fear becomes the cage that locks them into mediocrity. The wealthy experience fear too, but the difference is how they respond to it. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, they see it as a signal to learn. Fear shows them where their gaps are, where their skills need to grow, and where opportunities lie. If they're afraid of investing, they study it. If they're afraid of failing, they take small risks, fail fast, and learn quicker than everyone else. They don't run from fear, they lean into it and turn it into energy for growth. Wealthy people understand that fear never fully goes away. Every big decision has risk, and risk always carries uncertainty. But instead of letting fear freeze them, they use it as motivation to prepare, to improve, and to push forward. Where most people see fear as a reason to quit, they see it as a reason to keep going. The truth is, fear can either paralyze or propel you. The wealthy choose the second option. By reframing fear as a teacher instead of an enemy, they turn moments of doubt into breakthroughs. This mindset doesn't eliminate fear, but it transforms it into fuel that drives learning, action, and ultimately wealth. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, constantly thinking about how to cover the next bill, the next expense, or the next month's rent. Their financial energy is consumed by survival, which keeps them stuck in a short-term cycle. Even when they earn more, their expenses rise to match it, and the focus remains on immediate needs rather than future growth. This short-term thinking creates stress, limits opportunities, and prevents real wealth from ever being built. The wealthy, however, operate with a long-term mindset. They aren't only thinking about today or tomorrow, but years and decades ahead. Every financial decision is filtered through the lens of future impact. Instead of asking, what can I afford right now? They ask, how will this choice position me years from now? That's why they prioritize investing, building assets, and compounding over instant gratification. They know that money planted today has the power to multiply over time, while money spent impulsively is gone forever. Thinking long-term doesn't mean ignoring the present. It means making the present serve the future. Wealthy people delay certain pleasures, reinvest earnings, and stay patient while their assets grow. They aren't seduced by quick wins or shortcuts because they understand lasting wealth requires consistency and time. This mindset also extends beyond money. The wealthy think long-term about health, relationships, and legacy. They see wealth as more than cash. It's about building a life that continues to thrive in the future. By planning ahead and resisting the paycheck to paycheck mentality, they create stability, security, and freedom that compounds over generations. The real wealth isn't in what they earn today, but in what they build to last far beyond today. Most people are conditioned to chase comfort. They want a stable paycheck, a predictable routine, and a life that feels safe. Comfort is attractive because it promises security in the moment, but the truth is that it also creates stagnation. When people prioritize comfort above all else, they avoid risk, resist change, and settle for good enough. They trade growth for familiarity, and doing so they limit their potential. The wealthy, on the other hand, understand that growth never comes from comfort. They actively put themselves in situations that challenge them, stretch them, and sometimes even scare them. They embrace discomfort because they know it is the price of progress. Whether it's taking on a new investment, starting a business, or learning a new skill, the wealthy see discomfort as evidence that they're moving forward. Growth, not comfort, is their compass. This doesn't mean they reject comfort entirely. It means they don't let it define their decisions. They see comfort as a temporary reward, not a permanent goal. Wealthy people chase growth because they know it compounds. Every lesson, every skill, every calculated risk adds up over time, creating not just more money but more freedom and opportunities. Average people often ask, how can I make life easier right now? The wealthy ask, what can I do today that will make life bigger tomorrow? That simple shift in mindset is the difference between staying stuck and continuously leveling up. By choosing growth over comfort, the wealthy build resilience, adaptability, and wealth that lasts, while those who cling to comfort often find that their so-called safety holds them back. Most people see problems as roadblocks. They get frustrated, discouraged, and often stop moving forward when something goes wrong. Problems feel like signs that they should quit or that the path they're on isn't meant for them. This mindset keeps them stuck because instead of looking for solutions, they dwell on obstacles. Average people allow problems to shrink their vision, convincing themselves success is only for those who don't face setbacks. The wealthy view problems through a completely different lens. To them, every problem carries within it the seed of an opportunity. They know that challenges expose gaps in knowledge, in systems, or in strategies that can be filled with growth. Where others see inconvenience, the wealthy see innovation. Where others see barriers, they see a chance to create solutions that not only move them forward, but often add value to others as well. History is full of wealthy individuals who turn problems into fortunes. A market crash becomes a chance to buy undervalued assets. A business setback becomes the push to reinvent a model that scales even bigger. A personal failure becomes a lesson that sharpens judgment for future wins. The wealthy don't run from problems, they lean in and ask, what is this teaching me? How can I turn this into an advantage? Problems are unavoidable in life, but your perspective determines whether they hold you back or propel you forward. For the wealthy, problems are simply disguised opportunities, signals that growth is possible, innovation is needed, and breakthroughs are on the other side. By training themselves to see opportunity in adversity, they turn situations that stop most people into stepping stones toward greater wealth and success. For many people, money itself becomes the ultimate goal. They chase higher salaries, bigger paychecks, and larger balances in their bank accounts, believing that the accumulation of money alone equals success. This mindset often leads to endless pursuit with little fulfillment, because no matter how much is earned, it never feels like enough. When money is a goal, life becomes a race without a finish line, leaving people tired, anxious, and constantly comparing themselves to others. The wealthy think differently. They see money as a tool, an instrument to build freedom, create impact, and design the life they truly want. Money, in their eyes, is not the destination but the vehicle. It allows them to buy time, to invest in opportunities, to support causes they believe in, and to create security for generations. By viewing money as a tool, they strip it of emotional weight and focus instead on how effectively they can use it to achieve greater outcomes. This perspective also changes how they make decisions. Instead of asking, how much money can I make? They ask, what can this money help me build or enable me to do? That shift in thinking leads to smarter investments, more meaningful projects, and wealth that compounds far beyond just numbers. Money becomes a servant rather than a master. When money is the goal, people often end up trapped by it, working endlessly to accumulate more. When money is a tool, people use it to unlock possibilities, solve problems, and create a life aligned with their values. The wealthy understand that true success isn't measured by the size of their bank account, but by how well they use money to create freedom and lasting fulfillment. At the end of the day, the biggest difference between those who just get by and those who build lasting wealth isn't luck, talent, or even timing. It's mindset. Truly wealthy people think differently. They don't see money as the end. They see it as a tool. They don't chase comfort, they chase growth. They don't let fear stop them, they let it guide them to learn. And most importantly, They think long term, while others are stuck living paycheck to paycheck. If you can make the shift, if you can rewire your thinking from scarcity to possibility, from short term comfort to long term growth, you'll realize wealth was never only about money. It's about freedom, choices, and the ability to live on your own terms. The wealthy are not wealthy because of what they have in their bank accounts. They're wealthy because of what they have in their minds. And once you make that shift, everything else begins to change.